we purchased some yummy for you to enjoy in the last day of class. Please sign your name and take a box for you to enjoy. Okay, please remember to sign your name. Well, as I said, all enjoyable moment has to come to an end sometime in life. This course is no exception. But we can decide how to end our enjoyable moment. Today, let me begin by answering some of your questions very quickly, and then we'll come to our rehearsal in preparation for our Saturday joint class presentation. That's really the very last moment to demonstrate to the other sister courses what you have done in this class. First of all, I think Andy asked a specific question about the uses of verbs: hit, collide, smash, and other verbs. And he wanted to know the differences among these verbs. Basically, if you hit something, okay, versus collide, versus smash, okay, you can see, depending on the verb choice, your impression of the effect of the things that come together may vary. Hit has little impact, but smash, you feel something really seriously happened. Okay, that's why I used an example last week. The choice of verbs sometimes can alter your memory. Okay, if I use smash, you feel something serious happened. Next, how do we avoid presupposition in language use? The answer is there's no way to avoid presuppositions. Okay, one way or the other, when you say something happened in this place or at that time, place already presuppose something happened. If you say the place or the time, that's already a presupposition. Or when I say, I'm your teacher, so you ought to do such and such. A teacher has a lot of presupposition as a term. It has a lot of cultural connotation, right? So it implies authority in Chinese culture. There's no way to avoid it. And then that's a very difficult philosophical question. Since different language use can cause different results, how can we know which verbs or words could lead to the fact? Now, that's a philosophical question. Is there really a fact or a reality? Or whether reality is really constructed based on your perceptions or based on your belief? I don't have an answer. It really depends on your philosophical belief on what's the reality. How do you know it is the reality? I'll leave this to other classes to solve, or perhaps it can never be solved in your life. Finally, I think Jean asked a very interesting question, which also should be left for further investigation. To what extent can a picture be regarded as plagiarism? So I'll leave that question to you for the other classes. I don't have an answer now. Okay, and some of you are very sweet. You asked me if I am going to offer other classes just like this one next semester. The answer is no, not next semester, but I will offer 2 courses in the graduate program of linguistics. If you're interested in Austronesian linguistics or research design statistics in applied linguistics, you're welcome to take our graduate courses. They're taught in English, and I can guarantee it's very useful and interesting. With your presence, I'm sure it will increase the caliber of that course. Okay, with that said, we're ready to rehearse. But before the rehearsal, let me remind you of our agenda on Saturday. We'll begin at 9:30 in room 101 in the College of Law. After the opening remarks, Zhu Rouruo, Professor Zhu's class is going to present their poster, and then for an hour and a half, 5 groups are going to do oral presentations. We are going to have 3 groups from our class. Each group has 15 minutes. There are 2 groups from Professor Shi's class. Each group has 25 minutes. Okay, they have more students in their group. And I don't believe in longer presentation. I like short, sharp, interesting presentation. That's why I want you to do short, interesting, good presentation in a shorter time. Finally, we'll have feedback and award ceremony and end at 12 o'clock, or perhaps before 12 o'clock, depending on how well we can observe our time. Okay. But before we rehearse, let me say one thing. When I was reading your three groups PPTs, I was sitting there, speechless, breathless. In other words, I didn't really expect you to produce such good quality work for the final joint class presentation. You really surprised me and really blessed me with high quality work. So without further ado, I'm going to ask you to show to the class what you have prepared for the joint class presentation. Let's start with the first group. Each group has 15 minutes. Please stick to your time and just go through it very quickly, okay? It's a rehearsal. It's not formal presentation, just to show the rest of the class what you have prepared. Perhaps we can give you some feedback on how to revise it, what to add, what to take out, okay? Roya, could you start? So we have three groups. We'll follow this order, okay? Then after the rehearsal, I have one more thing to do, which is you already saw it, right? But that's a secret. I'm going to leave it to the very last. All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and we are the first group again, and our group is talking about texting and sexting. And before we hit the road, I want to ask you about some questions. Do you know texting may create troubles for you? I know that you all believe that. And the second is, have you ever met someone who sends you disgusting images or words on the net or through cell phone? I believe some people have seen something you don't wish to see on the net. So, but in addition, we also do something that a teacher don't wish us to do in class. This is a teacher's wrote a letter to a student. I know when you are texting in class, seriously, no one looks down at the crotch and smiles. But we still try everything we can to text in class. What I mean is, we text every day, every minute. So, before we get through our case, I want to talk about sexual harassment since the topic of our presentation. According to the law in Taiwan, Sexual Harassment Prevention Act, it says the definition of sexual harassment is excluding sexual assault crimes. The so-called sexual harassment in the act refers to the sexual statement of sexual behavior, violating another person's wishes, and also to the following situation. And the first one is, if a person's obedience to or rejection of other sexual advances becomes a condition of obtaining, losing, or reducing the rights and interest in work, education, training, services, plans, or activities. Seems hard word, but I wish you all understand that. Law is not for everyone to understand at first sight. Okay, and the second situation, it text picture, and I draw it in red colors for you to pay attention. Pictures, voices, images. So other objections are used to innuendates or intimidates or it languages and behaviors or discrimination and insult of other methods are adopted. For such reasons, the other person's dignity of character is impaired, or if another person feels scared and feels dislike with hostility or feels offended, um, or if another person's work at education, training, services, plans, activities, or other noble habits are improperly influenced. I know you can all understand because we have listened to Professor Shi's instruction when she is our special guest. So, and after understand that the law of the definition of sexual harassment, let's look at some text language. Okay, after our presentation, I believe that you all know about it. Because cell phone are, everyone has a cell phone. Is there anyone don't have cell phone? Please raise your hand. Okay, it's easy, direct way to contact people. But I know now it's Facebook, but you don't want to. But if you do want to contact somebody right away, you still call. And when it comes to calling, it's always cheaper to text than to call because you can't control how much time you spend on calling someone. And it's also, when it comes to texting, it's tiresome to type the whole words. So text messages, abbreviation, emoticons are created. This is called a text language. Like this one, emoticons, and this one. Like laugh aloud is LOL. Okay, and after understanding the textual language, we will know that textual harassment. But I'll give you some definition. Okay, sexual harassment is aggressive, distorting literary or textual criticism, and sexual harassment using text messages. That's called textual harassment, and it's usually compared textual intercourse, and that's what we want to talk about. That's sexting. But if you do want to know more about sexting, I provided here. Sexting is like this one, okay? Fill in the blank if you like. And sexting is premature sex and texting. So you know that language changes all the time. You never see this word before. Okay, and sexting is an act of sending sexually explicit messages or photos electronically. So we know it's a new word, mainly from one cell phone to another. And sexting also refers to text either sent or received that contains sexually explicit language or photographs. Remember that I mentioned language and photographs. Okay, and sexting can often lead to cyberbullying, digital abuse, or worse, criminal charges. And we can see that cyberbullying, digital abuse, this not very new word, but when they come together, it becomes a new. It becomes very new for us. So after understanding what sexting is about, why teenagers sext? Because in Taiwan we are more conservative, but after I searched sexting on the internet, I found it very serious in America. I don't know what happened in Europe, but at least in America it's very serious right now for teenagers to sext. Okay? I just sent a pretty picture to my boyfriend, but what's the matter with that? You may think that some some students in high school, junior high school, take their own picture and put on Facebook and say, a lot of people say they are pretty and they're happy. I don't know why. So, in a survey called Sex and Tech, it shows that 51% of girls often feel pressure from boyfriend, and 23% pressure are from friends who want them to sex. Okay, and 66% of teens do it to be fun or flattered, potatoes. And 39% of teens say sexually suggestive images. However, 71% of these are from their partners. But what I want to understand is, they thought accepting to somebody, meaning I'm dating him, or meaning I love him, because I love him so much, I want to show myself. But this is not true. So I want to look at the video clip. Sorry, that's not my intention for you to laugh at the end of the video. Okay. Okay. After understanding the situation happened in America, I want you to look at some the criminal code of the Republic of China. Is the because I'm curious about what happened if student in Taiwan said to somebody, and it reminds me of some cases that's a very hot issue right now. Li Zhongrui, yes. And after the criminal code of the Republic of China, in article, yes, it says a person who, for purpose of gain, provides a locality of an instrument facilitates another to engage in an act specified in paragraph 1. Paragraph 1, we don't need to know what is in paragraph 1 right now. Should be sentenced to imprisonment for less than 5 years and shortened imprisonment. In lieu, therefore, in addition to I don't know what it is, a fine of not more than 50,000 yuan may be imposed. If you don't understand, it's okay. You just have to understand what I put in red. Okay, and in 刑法, a person who, for purpose of dissemination, broadcast, or sales has the act or specified in preceding paragraph should be subject to the same imprisonment. So, although the law in Taiwan that didn't specially have a law for sexting, but we do have some related law in Taiwan. But after understand all of this, you may think, since we don't usually sex to each other in high school or even now in college, you may think, do I have to know that what happened in America when they sex and what happened and why? But I want to remind you that you may, if you are interested in Hollywood culture, you may think, you may know these superstars like Vanessa Hudgens. He tried to sex to his ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend Zac Efron, but nobody knows what happened. The photos are leaked, and everyone see that. So Vanessa Hudgens had a hard time get through all of that. Although she didn't mean to do it, but Somehow the photos are worldwide, and even you type her name in Google engine, you can search for that photos.